What's going on, FA Nation? John Impemba here with Adam Ronis, bringing you another edition of FA Sports Talk. Adam, since the last time you and I talked, we had the NFL draft. That's obviously the biggest sporting event that we've had to talk about, since this whole COVID-19 happened, the quarantine. You and I are obviously very busy during the NFL draft, providing a ton of content there on site. So I have to ask you, initial reactions. You're a Cowboys fan, obviously. How do you think the Cowboys did? Maybe what are some of the surprises that you saw during the draft?
Yeah, I thought the draft went smoothly considering everything that we were talking about beforehand. Everyone was worried about technical glitches, how smooth would it be? And obviously, I didn't really get to hear the audio portions of it since we were breaking it down on the live stream here at Fantasy Alarm, but everything went pretty smoothly. As far as the Cowboys, I'm happy with what they did. And I was on the live stream when they were coming up in the first round. And obviously, we knew the Raiders were going to go a wide receiver at 12. I didn't think it would be Ruggs. That surprised me for sure. But it is the Raiders, and they're in love with them speed wide receivers. So then after the 49ers made that trade and Tampa Bay moved ahead of them, and then San Francisco took the defensive tackle at 14, I was like, oh, boy, I think you're going to see Dallas get CeeDee Lamb. Because I knew the Falcons at 16 weren't going to take a receiver. We knew at 15, Denver was going to take Jerry Jeudy. There was a lot of reports about them potentially moving up to take him in the top 10. So once all that didn't happen, I'm sitting there and I say right away, I'm like, I think Jerry Jones is going to take CeeDee Lamb. And I know that was not part of the plan at all for them. They only spoke to Lamb one time in the pre-draft process, which you can understand because I don't think anyone had CeeDee Lamb fallen to Dallas at 17.
Wow.
And it wasn't a need for them. There's no question about it. But sometimes it's the same way in fantasy football. You have a blueprint of what you want to do. And people ask me this all the time, which I hate. Oh, so I got the 7th pick. So should I go running back, receiver, running back? And you can have that idea going in, but you just never know what's going to happen in a draft. And you have to be prepared to pivot. So you could have the running back receiver blueprint in the first 2 rounds. And you come back in the middle of round 2, and all of a sudden there's a running back that you have way higher on your board, but your plan was to take a receiver. Sometimes you say, you know what, I got to pivot away from the plan and go with the best player on the board. So I think people are kind of split on that. A lot of people are saying, well, Dallas didn't need a wide receiver. They needed defense. But if you look at the way the rest of the draft panned out, it worked out for them. I mean, they got Trayvon Diggs in round 2, and he should have gone earlier, probably, according to many people. He went there at 51. They were able to get the Wisconsin center, Tyler Badaz, in the 4th round. They were able to get an edge rusher in the 5th. And so it worked out for them, but I can't blame them. They had CeeDee Lamb 6th overall on their board, and I didn't think they needed a receiver because they had Gallup. You got Amari Cooper.
Yeah.
And I thought Blake Jarwin was also going to see a big uptick this year. I love what I saw from him last year. So they had the weapons offensively, but they did lose Randall Cobb. And Randall Cobb had a way better season than people think. I mean, he had 83 targets and over 800 yards. Yeah. So, CeeDee Lamb could step into that role and put up similar numbers, if not better. So I like the way it worked out for Dallas. They've done a pretty good job drafting over the last few years. I think coaching has been the big problem. I'm not enamored with Mike McCarthy, but they needed to do something and change from Jason Garrett and change the culture. So I thought they had a very good draft, and now it's got to translate on the field.
Yeah, exactly. I too, obviously surprised like everybody else with the CeeDee Lamb. I thought maybe you would see Minnesota make a move up because they needed a receiver. They ended up taking Jefferson where they were drafting anyway, so not a bad get for them. But yeah, to see Lamb fall as far as he did, to see Ruggs go, like you said, to the Raiders, just drafting the fastest receiver on the board, just per usual with them. Certainly a surprise there. What other surprises did you think kind of fell through the draft? Was there anybody, did you think the quarterback situation sort of played out the way it did? With Herbert going to the Chargers, Tua Miami, did you think anybody else may have jumped up in there?
No, that's how it played out for me. I thought that's what was going to happen. I don't know if it was last week, it was with you or Bender, where I felt the whole time like Tua was going to Miami. I just felt like they were sending a lot of smoke screens out there. We were hearing the rumors that maybe the Chargers would trade up and that Miami liked Herbert more. I didn't buy it, and it turned out that way. So I wasn't surprised by any of that. I mean, obviously, I was surprised that the Packers traded up to get Jordan Love, and obviously the Packers have taken a lot of criticism over the last few days just because, they have Aaron Rodgers there. And yes, his play has slipped, but this was a team that was 13-3 last year, made the NFC Championship, although I didn't think they were that good. Yeah, I said it the whole time. Like, I remember one of my producers was like, Green Bay's going to Super Bowl. I'm like, what? I'm like, you're crazy. Oh, watch, you see. And then I have to watch and sit there, and, they're one win away in the NFC Championship. But I knew San Francisco was going to smoke them. Like, to me, there's no way they were a 13-3 team. And it happens in football. You stay healthy, you catch some breaks. But still, like, the window is now. If you have Aaron Rodgers, it's not. You just don't see teams draft a quarterback now and sit them for 2-3 years. And it seems like it was a power play here by LaFleur, who was basically say, "Hey, this is my team. I want to make the decisions." Because then AJ Dillon in round 2. I know Aaron Jones and Jamal Williams are free agents at the end of the year, but why would you draft a running back? Like, if you really wanted a running back, just draft him next year. Like, why in the second round do it this year? So it was very perplexing. And then with the plethora of wide receivers available in this draft, they didn't even go get one. And Aaron Rodgers has had a really difficult time gaining a rapport with any wide receiver outside of Devontae Adams. So it was definitely surprising the way the Packers went about this draft.
Yeah, I mean, they were panned, by almost every expert, fantasy or otherwise, for the draft. I mean, you mentioned they said they took A.J. Dillon, a running back that they didn't need, and some maybe felt maybe a little bit early. Like, I didn't see many have Dillon as like a second round. He's more of like a third round pick. And then DeGora, who they took as a tight end at Cincinnati, before came out and said he's really going to use him as a fullback. So in the third round, they took a fullback. In the second round, they took a running back, and they took a quarterback in the first round, like you said. So it seems like they're going to go hammer the running game, not get any protection or any help there for Rodgers. Then he said drafted his potential replacement as well. So Green Bay certainly in trouble there. I thought the Lions were surprising, sticking at 3, because I mean they were like the hottest pick everybody was talking about potentially teams trading up for. We saw Jacksonville right up into the draft, supposedly being rumored as maybe making a move. We thought Miami was always potentially moving up to 3 to get Tua. And then the Lions ended up standing pat, and they took Okuda, who was always on their board, and Mitch Many figured that they could have got him a couple picks later and acquired some more draft capital, because then in the second round, the Lions, drafted a running back there that I think, have people sort of scratching their head. Do they need DeAndre Swift when they have Kerryon Johnson? Could they have used some additional, players on the defensive side of the football there? The running backs, to me, were sort of the biggest disappointment, because they all got drafted to teams that didn't really need the running back, outside of, I guess, the Rams, to replace Gurley there. What's your take sort of on the rookie running backs and where they landed?
Yeah, I mean, look, they could have been in better spots. We're seeing just more and more teams kind of go with these committees now, and it's frustrating for fantasy, which is why you're seeing such a premium placed on running backs. If you're looking at early drafts, I mean, you're often seeing 8-9 running backs go in the first round, a lot more in the second round, because it dries up. Then you start to go into, well, this guy's the 2-down back, this guy's the pass-catching back. So it is kind of frustrating. I mean, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, I think, wound up in a good spot. I mean, he's a good fit for the Chiefs offense. I know Damian Williams is still there, but Damian Williams is 28. He's never had more than 111 carries in a season. He hasn't shown that he can hold up over a full season as good as he was in the Super Bowl and the postseason for them. Andy Reid doesn't take running backs in the first round often, and they did. So to me, Edwards-Helaire is in a good spot, even if he doesn't have the full workload initially. And that's something that we're going to have to keep an eye on now with a lot of these rookies. We all get excited. You're seeing them pushed up the draft board. But you have to remember, there's no mini camps, no OTAs. Is the training camp going to be abbreviated? I don't worry about it as much with the running back position. I think they can assimilate a lot quicker. I think with the wide receivers, it matters. I mean, you see veteran wide receivers change teams year to year, and they struggle. And that's with the OTAs, with training camp. I mean, you could say with Odell Beckham last year, I know he was banged up, but it was not. It was rough. It was a rough go of it, and I know a lot of that
didn't help with Mayfield either. Mayfield didn't do him any favors either there.
Well, and it was the offensive line too, which was a big factor. I mean, he was under constant duress. But yeah, I mean, Jonathan Taylor, it's a solid spot. I mean, to me, they're not that confident in Marlon Mack. Right. You would have wished it was a better spot where all right, he's clearly going to be the guy. I think we all think he will be based on the draft capital, and they traded up for him. Right. Mack had 1,000 yards last year, but he has not stayed healthy and played 16 games in either of his 3 seasons. They don't use him much in the passing game, so he's in a good spot there. I mean, Swift, for me, it tells me they're not confident in Kerryon Johnson. I mean, the guy has not been able to stay on the field in his first 2 years in the league. But at the same time, Matt Patricia, disciple of Bill Belichick, I mean, he's going to play, and we've seen it. He's going to play several running backs.
Right.
So, there's an opportunity there for him, but he could share a little bit. Cam Akers, I think, probably a good spot there with the Rams. Todd Gurley's gone. Everyone was excited about Darrell Henderson last year. I mean, there were some early drafts. He was going in the 4th, 5th round because everyone was worried about Todd Gurley's knee. And even in early best ball drafts, he was the highest Ram running back going. And Malcolm Brown's there. So I think Akers has a pathway to come in there. He was on a Florida State team that had a terrible offensive line, and he was still impressive. But yeah, Keyshawn Vaughn, everyone's like, oh, Tampa Bay. Yeah, It's a good spot, but, does he split with Ronald Jones? J.K. Dobbins in Baltimore. Look, we know it's mostly Ingram and Lamar Jackson, but, he'll get some touches. He could be interesting, I think, late in the year if Ingram, gets hurt. I think Ingram's 30 now. Now, he hasn't had the typical huge workloads because he's kind of been splitting throughout his career, but he did get hurt towards the end of last season. So, yeah, I mean, there was no slam dunk spot with these other. We go, oh, that is great. I think outside of Edwards-Helaire, I think some people will argue for Taylor as well, and then the rest of them, it's going to come down to how the teams deploy them. But yeah, it's not like instantly, oh yeah, this is a great spot.
Yeah, I mean, Sean McDermott, head coach of the Bills today, said that Zach Moss and Devin Singletary are going to split carries. A lot of people kind of project Moss to be sort of that inside the 10 type player too, more of the bulldozer. So maybe there's some touchdown value there. But for me, again, you talked about teams and going into a plan with the draft, and everybody kind of going running back heavy. And now you have a lot of running backs that are going to be in timeshares, and it sort of just depletes the effective pool of running backs, in my opinion. If you're going to be in so many of these running backs, splitting carries. It'll be interesting to see which way you go. If you are drafting Dynasty, who's the first rookie running back off the board for you right now?
It's either Taylor or Edwards-Helaire. But Edwards-Helaire shapes up to be better this year, but I think Taylor probably long-term is the guy you want, especially behind that offensive line in Indianapolis. It's a great offensive line. So I probably lean towards Taylor.
Okay, yeah, some of the the back and forth Twitter conversations. I haven't seen people already posting some early best ball ADPs and not at best ball but dynasty drafts, and seeing Edwards-Helaire as one of the first picks overall in those drafts, and just the conversation of who's more valuable in what situation. How are you ranking the 3 receivers there, whether it's Lamb, Ruggs, or Judy? Is there anybody else you kind of fit into that category as sort of top rookie receivers to look at?
Yeah, I mean, look, I think Lamb for this year, it could be a little bit difficult just because Cooper and Gallup are there, but still long-term, I like him. He'll carve out a role. And Judy obviously is in a good spot. I mean, he's opposite Cortland Sutton. A lot's going to come down to Drew Lock, but Judy is a guy that just gets open. He just has a knack for finding the open spots in the defense. So I do like him a lot too. I think Jefferson is in a good spot for this year just because he's going to soak up the targets that Diggs left behind, but it's still an offense that's just not going to be pass heavy. Ruggs, I didn't like the pick for Oakland, but at least for this year, there's an opportunity, but I still don't think he's as good as the other 2 guys. So this year, I think he has an opportunity, but I still think Judy and Lamb are better.
Yeah, I'm probably in the same path with you as well. I don't have much faith in Derek Carr either. I mean, then even though Ruggs is going to have probably the most opportunity, because he's really only dealing with Williams and Waller there, it's just questionable if those guys are just pure speed, how well they're actually going to end up fitting, into an NFL system once they get going. You mentioned Denver going with Jerry Jeudy. They also drafted KJ Hamler. They got Cortland Sutton, Noah Fant. What's your outlook on maybe Drew Lock now this year? Because they gave him all of the weapons he could possibly ask for to succeed.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's a solid QB2. I mean, the weapons are there. Are they going to find out about him this year for sure? There's no excuses. I mean, They are just loaded on offense. So, I like what Denver did. They addressed a lot of their shortcomings. They got playmakers on offense. So, quarterback's a very deep position. I think you'll see Locke get the buzz, and he'll start to move up. But it's like you can't put him in the top 12. There's just no way. There's too much depth at quarterback. But especially if you wait on quarterback, maybe you take a veteran quarterback like a Stafford or a Roethlisberger and pair him with Drew Lock. This way, you get the stability. I mean, Stafford was really good last year before he got hurt. Ben Roethlisberger was like 4th in pass attempts, I believe, 2 years ago. Definitely risk with him at age 38, but we know what he can do, and maybe you take one of those guys and you pair him with Locke, and then if Locke has that breakout or steps up, then you're in a good spot.
Yeah, I'm curious to see where exactly he starts going in drafts. I assume his ADP probably bumps up a little bit now because of all the weapons around him. People sort of maybe wanting to buy into some of the hype potentially around the Denver offense and see if they can kind of capitalize on the opportunities there with him.
I can't see him breaking into the top 15. Can you?
I don't think so either, but I mean, I think depending on where he goes, like if you're talking about, the later rounds, because most of the time we wait on quarterbacks as it is. So if you're getting him, in round 10, 11, 12, like I could see that being a viable spot for him if you're looking for a quarterback too for teams that maybe missed the first wave of QBs, So it'll be interesting to see exactly where he ends up because, like you said, this is a make it or break it year for him. And that division in a whole really seemingly decided to all play offense and try to keep up with the Chiefs and how they're going. Anyways, any other like news out of the NFL draft that caught you by surprise, or anybody that you like maybe for fantasy purposes?
Yeah, I mean, I guess you could say there were a lot of players that received the boost based on something the teams didn't do. So some running backs like Leonard Fournette, there was a lot of rumors about him being traded, and they didn't do anything.
Mm-hmm.
So that bodes well for him as of right now. Austin Eckler, a lot of people were worried about him being the lead back. I still have some concerns, though, about what the workload is exactly going to be. And remember, Phillip Rivers dumped off a lot of passes. And Tyrod Taylor, assuming he's the guy to start, will scramble a little bit. I think Todd Gurley's the winner. And I did not like Todd Gurley at all last year. I wrote a piece in the preseason last year like, I want no part of this guy. I was just reading what the Rams were doing, and it felt like they were lying the whole time. I hated how they utilized him in the postseason on the way to the Super Bowl run. And they did take it easy with him early in the year. Then they started to push him. I don't know who was right on the Gurley because he was relying on touchdowns. He didn't get the typical volume. He wasn't involved as much in the passing game. But Atlanta signed him to a one-year deal, and they didn't draft anyone. So maybe
Ryan
they go
Hill, right? Is like the number 2 running back there or something like.
So they might just say, you know what? It's 1 year. We're just going to run him into the ground. Why do we care about him for the future? Right. So in the right spot, I would take him as my RB2. Again, he's not going to be someone that I look for, but I think he definitely gets a boost. Jordan Howard. I know they traded for Matt Breida.
Yeah, I was just about to ask you. I was just about to ask you about the Breida trade and how you feel like he would impact. James Grande and I kind of had a little bit of a back and forth on how we feel Breida will have in this opportunity because, Howard is seemingly, he can't catch the football and teams tend to, look for that secondary running back to go with him and kind of how you feel that running back situation shakes out now.
Yeah, look, I didn't like Jordan Howard, and I said Miami's drafting a running back. I was convinced with all the picks they had, and I was wrong. They didn't take a running back. So, Howard's going to get his 200-plus carries. I think this is a team that's not bad. Remember, they played very well down the stretch last year in the second half of the season. So I think Fitzpatrick starts the year at quarterback. Again, a lot's going to come down to how much training camp is it abbreviated. Mm-hmm. But I think Howard's going to get a ton of carries, and they will use Breida too. Breida might be in the 120 to 140 carry range. Obviously, play a big role in the passing game. Right. I've always been a big Breida fan. He was on a ton of my teams last year, looked good early on. And then, obviously, he kind of got phased out of the offense a little bit, and it was tough. The guy is constantly banged up, and he's not a big back, so they cannot overwork him. So, yeah, I like Breida in PPR leagues. He's not going to cost you a lot.
I said I would draft him as like a flex play in PPR leagues. I think that's probably like his initial upside. And then maybe if something happens with Howard or Breida becomes more involved than we're expecting, he can get to that RB2. But for me, he's, a depth flex player to start.
Yeah, I don't think you can rank him in the RB2s. No. It's just really tough. I just don't think the workload's going to be there enough. And again, I'm a big fan. I had him in a ton of leagues last year. I'm doing a slow best ball draft right now. I believe he went in round 8, if I'm not mistaken. Like Howard went, and 2 picks later, Breida went.
I remember you saying you were in that best ball draft, and someone took CEH right before, right after he got drafted. Right, it was like his pick. The guy drafted him in the end of the first round. So
no, in the 5th round.
5th round, right? 5th round after he was taken in the first round, right?
Yeah, that was just poor timing, and I can't blame anyone. If the draft's going on, I would wait it out too. Unfortunately, when I came on the clock, I think it was the end of I think it was the end of day 2 by the time it came up. So like all those running backs were gone.
Yeah.
So there was nothing significant. And that's one of the positives and negatives about a slow draft. And it happens sometimes in July and August too, when there's practice or training camp. And sometimes you get lucky, sometimes you get unlucky because Edwards-Helaire in the 5th round for that team, man, that's a steal.
That is a steal. I know you're a big, fan of gambling and betting on sports. I don't know if you've looked at any futures. Have you taken a look at any NFL futures at all? Maybe post draft, see if anybody kind of jumps out to you.
Very little, but I will say this: the night that Edwards-Helaire was drafted, I think it was bet. It was on what was the app? I think the MGM.
Sure.
Edwards-Helaire was plus 2,500 rookie of the year. I pounced on it right away.
That's a good play.
I mean, I know quarterbacks tend to get it, but I mean, yeah, it could be Burrow. And I think I looked today quickly somewhere. I think he's the favorite, and I think Edwards-Helaire has moved up to second. But it's the Chiefs' offense, man, and we saw. And I'm not saying he's Kareem Hunt, but you saw what Kareem Hunt did in his rookie year.
Mm-hmm.
And again, they spent the 1st round pick on him. I know it's the last pick of the 1st round, but if he goes in there in that offense, I mean, with Kelsey and Tyreek Hill, the defense have to worry so much about that. And McCall Hardman on the field and his speed. I mean, if they just dump it off to Edwards-Helaire, he's in a really good spot. So, yeah, right away, it was plus 2,500. I think so. It's now plus 700, right?
I'm looking at it plus 600 right now. So
yeah.
That's great odds, right?
Right. I just said, you know what? Why not? Because I knew those odds were going to get worse for me. So, we talk about this too with, we did a lot of NBA. Sometimes you do have to pounce on these lines early before there's any movement. And, the books are pretty good about adjusting. But that night, just right away, it was the last pick right after it ended. I said, all right, let me check this out. And I went there and I said, oh, plus 2,500. Sure, I'm going to plug some money down now. Because we all know how this shifts very quickly as the markets and the money comes in.
Yeah, and I mean, one of the things, I did obviously the wager alarm, NFL futures articles, I really like Tampa Bay, obviously, and then once the Gronk news came out, the odds obviously jumped up on Tampa. So if you made those bets before, you were getting much better odds than you were now. Another one that I liked, post draft was, I tweeted out, the Miami Dolphins at plus 700 were looking pretty good after that draft. I mean, the AFC East to win the AFC East rather. The AFC East is still relatively open. You don't, no Brady there anymore. You don't know what's going to happen. Like you said, they finished the year strong. They had a good draft with Tua. They acquired Breida. So you're getting, plus 700 odds on Miami to win that division. If you're looking for long shot plays, that's not a terrible buyback either.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's Buffalo as a favorite, but why not? Miami made some moves, and you like the culture that's being instilled in there. I mean, because they easily could have flopped last year. Remember, it was tank for Tua. They did it. I mean, they beat England. They played very well. So yeah, that's again. Is it likely going to happen? Probably not. But at those odds, you take the shot because it is wide open. I mean, what if Buffalo underperforms? What if there's a ton of injuries? Yeah, what if Josh Allen?
Not that good.
Yeah, what if he continues to throw interceptions? So certainly, that's and the division winners are always tough at times. It feels like everyone kind of always has the same team winning the division, but we all know there's always going to be a surprise team. There's going to be someone that comes out of nowhere, and if you could find that team, you can make some money off it.
Yeah, definitely. So we got a couple more minutes here, so I want to touch upon a couple of other things. You and I, big NBA fans, the NBA announcing they had announced that they were looking to open facilities at the end of the week. That's now again been pushed back slightly, but as some of the states start opening up, they're relaxing their policies. So the NBA getting closer and closer to coming back. And the last time we talked, we mentioned the guys like Jason Tatum had said that he hadn't shot a basketball yet. Tatum tweeted out that he bought a basketball hoop. So he now has a hoop at his house for facing all the critics. So hopefully he'll get some shots up. So we have that. And then we have the KBO is starting up. Are you going to have any interest in, the KBO league once that begins? And, are you going to be looking to place any wagers on KBO games as things kick off?
Right now, no. I really don't have much knowledge of it. So I can't place wagers on something I don't have much knowledge on. Maybe I'll get into it. Obviously, I'm probably doing a lot of football stuff right now, best ball drafts and, working on, preseason content for football. But, I mean, look, I miss baseball a lot. The first couple weeks it was fine. Now it's like, man, I did all these drafts. I did a ton of drafts already.
Right.
So, I mean, to see baseball on TV, if ESPN does work this out, I'll probably watch it. And we've seen some guys from the KBO come over, so maybe it'll give us a little time to
More
kind of scout a
exposure,
little bit.
right? Like
What?
it'll give you a little bit more exposure. Some of these
Right.
guys come over and we hear the names and we don't really know much about them when they sign as these free agents. But yeah, maybe being able to watch those games now will kind of open us up to some potential players that will be on the Mets or the Red Sox. That we can be future stars on.
Yeah, and I think again, if we're huge sports fans, we're kind of starved for sports right now. So everyone consumed the NFL draft. The Raiders ratings were insane. I think over 15 million. Obviously, everyone's watching The Last Dance now as well. I mean, perfect timing for that. So yeah, I mean, I'm sure I'll put it on my TV. I mean, I'm kind of running out of TV shows to watch right now. I got Netflix, and I'm kind of searching for things right now. I've watched a lot, and now I'm just like, damn, man, kind of need something else.
Yeah, I started playing a lot more video games than I've ever played in my entire life. So that's how I've been spending my time. Sean Mitchell obviously does all the Counter-Strike right now on Fantasy Lounge for all the DFS content. So I've been finding myself watching Counter-Strike games to follow along with my DFS teams that I'm putting together.
I know you've tweeted out you've done well and Sean's done well, so people check him out. I haven't yet. Maybe I should to make some extra money. But so you sit there and watch other people play video games?
Yeah.
I don't know what it is. I don't get that. Now, I don't see how it's exciting. Can you break it? Like, how does that work? Like I never like when we played friends Madden tournaments and I wasn't playing. I didn't like watching them play.
No.
No.
Yeah, well, I mean, I definitely think it helps that I'm invested financially in the outcome of these things.
Right.
For sure. But yeah, I mean, like you're getting the first person view of whoever's playing at the time, and these things are all switched up to, they pan around to different players, and you're watching two teams go at it, and basically, it's just like, oh, this person kills that person, or this one steals the flag and gets the points for it. So like, it's just like, it's no different really than watching a baseball game, or a football game. It's just, in this instance, it's a video game that someone's playing competitively against. And these people are out of their mind good at these games. And it's a computer game, the hand-eye coordination that they have. I'm watching people, shoot a guy without, scoping across a map. Like, it's insane how talented these kids are. And most of them are like 16 years old.
Oh, I was just gonna say, because I'm assuming these people don't have sex, because don't they play like 20 hours a day video games? Like,
yeah, probably not, but some of them are also very wealthy. These things. So maybe they got groupies over in Japan where it's huge out there. So, but I mean, yeah, it's kind of now taking up my time because Sean's been doing so well. I actually took down a showdown slate the other day. First place split it with 25 other people, of course. So the prize wasn't, what it could have been, but I mean, like, first overall win in a showdown for me came in a Counter-Strike Global Offensive tournament. So yeah, if you're out there, all the DFS content is free. You can go over there and get the playbook. And Sean's been doing Monkey Knife Fight. Have you ever participated in any of the Monkey Knife Fight contests, Adam?
I have not, but I know they're pretty good. I've checked it out for like hoops. I obviously haven't done anything for video game stuff. I haven't gotten that board yet, but hey, you guys are winning money, so you're kind of piquing my interest now.
Sean is 5-0 now with his Monkey Knife Fight picks, and he's putting those in the playbooks as well. So he's winning everybody money in DFS and over on Monkey Knife Fight. So it's just all great content. And like you said, in a time where like we're all sort of branching out, trying to find something else to do, esports is taking a front seat into like everything that's going on. We're going to have a virtual Kentucky Derby coming up soon, apparently. Like, there's going to be like a whole bunch of things that are happening on this virtual esports platform. But right now we got Counter-Strike going on. Sean's crushing it in there. I'm sort of getting into it now. I'm watching the matches. Today was a 6-match slate. It's happening all day. So when you're done, go tune in. It's like HLTV or something like that. You can watch all the matches. So it's pretty crazy.
Well, yeah. I mean, everyone has their own thing. I just can't get into watching other people play video games. I stopped playing.
I didn't think I was going to be there either. So even Sean himself was like a casual player of the game. But he just took it upon to become, this like guru of, Counter-Strike DFS. So, it's pretty interesting the way everything's changing while we're all stuck inside.
Well, good for him, man, and hopefully people listening take advantage since it is free. So check it out, fantasyalarm.com.
Yep. All right, John, that kind of wraps it up for us. Any final thoughts here before we let go?
Just hoping we get some real sports back soon, man. Virtual is good here and there, but I'm all about the real thing. So I just hope we can get sports back soon.
Amen to that, brother. All right, everybody. Good luck. And, if you have any questions about anything, we're here on Twitter. We'll help you out with your football, your basketball. If you're still in basketball, baseball leagues, you name it, hit us up on Twitter and we'll be there for you.